Bird Middle School librarian Ann O'Malley is a fervent advocate for school libraries. Having dedicated much of her 11 years with Walpole Schools to expanding the availability of web and digital-based tools and resources, O'Malley was recognized by the Massachusetts School Library Association with the 2023 Virtual Influencer Award.
Walpole is being competitive as a school district by winning this award, that we care about having a librarian in the school. It's been shown nationwide with school districts that have licensed school librarians, the test scores tend to go up because more reading and more access to books, more equity in that area tends to lead to higher test scores as well. It honors school librarians who demonstrate exemplary use of digital tools for teaching, learning, communicating, advocacy, and outreach. So the three criteria are content, purpose, design, and organization. So for content, what they were looking for is that it was middle school age availability, with the purpose that there was a clear purpose of what the library media center was all about, and that you could see that in the physical space as well as our online space, and that was easy to find information on there, and that information was provided ethically. So like cited sources, that we had criteria for instructing people on how to use information wisely and ethically. I basically divvied up the website so we had all stakeholders were present. So we have an area for students, an area for teachers, there was another section for administrators, and there was an area for parents and guardians. And the main purpose of the Bird Middle School Library website was to promote a lifelong joy of reading, as well as to show anybody who's coming to the website the wide variety of information available, both physically as well as digitally through the library, and also help those people to conduct research and to be able to locate, use, and share information wisely. So when you go to the website, you can see under students, we have research resources. I've created tutorials both for student use and for teacher use so that they would know how to locate books. They can use our ebooks and audiobooks, and they can find those. We have a lot of databases available as well as tutorials on how to use those databases, how to cite your sources so that you don't plagiarize. I have all of that information on the website. And we're really excited because right now I have the website, I won the award through Bird Middle School, but we are combining with Johnson Middle School for next year, and we'll be at the new middle school, Walpole Middle School, which you can see right outside my window right now. And it'll be great to have a really big combined new library website for everyone to enjoy.
According to their website, the MSLA promotes school librarian leadership and school library programs that provide resources, instruction, and opportunities for collaboration to maximize student learning. O'Malley explains why the group is currently working to expand the presence of licensed librarians in public schools.
Having a licensed librarian in the school, we get a lot of free access, actually, from the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners. They provide a lot of databases through ProQuest, Encyclopedia Britannica, Gale Research databases, and Transparent Language. There are all these databases that normally schools would have to pay a subscription fee, and that could be like a couple of $1,000s. But because I'm a licensed librarian for the middle school, we get access to this for free. So it's amazing the wealth of information that these students have access to. We participate in a collection so that we can get digital books, so ebooks, audiobooks, and just this January we're allowed to use digital magazines are available to us. And it's through a program called Sora, so it's much like Libby if you're in the public library, where you would get your books electronically through Libby. This one is called Sora, and you can download ebooks, audiobooks, digital magazines, and it makes our collection much wider than what you see here, than having a print collection. So we have a lot more access to books, which is amazing. When students are at home on break, they can just download an ebook or an audiobook, and it's fantastic. Especially some students who don't have access to go to the local public library, they can always find some kind of reading material. There are other districts that don't have licensed librarians in their district. They would have to pay in order to receive all those databases. I mean, one of the great things about being a school librarian is that, besides sharing a love of reading, is that school librarians, we're constantly learning. So we're constantly at the forefront of what's happening in research. Right now I'm trying to learn as much as I can about AI, so I can help teachers when they have projects of like, okay, how can we use AI ethically? What should we look out for when students are handing in research projects? And do we need to worry about any kind of using AI to write the research report? So I'm doing a lot of work trying to learn as much as I can about that. And we're at the forefront of technology and trying to figure out how we can blend technology and research together into the curriculum. We have on loan right now 2 flat screen interactive panels that we're figuring out, which one works the best for us so that we can incorporate it into the new middle school, so that the teachers have another form of technology so they can vary their instruction. One of the things that most people don't realize about school librarians is that we're not the people who just shush you and check in and out books. Well, we're actually licensed educators, we're teachers. I actually teach one semester course for 7th graders called Informational Reading and Writing, where I teach them all informational and digital literacy skills. So I teach them how to find a book, how to cite their sources, how to use the databases, how to evaluate websites, which is super important these days, so that you don't just take the result that's the first on your list when you do a Google search, that you find out, okay, well, who's the authority? Is this person specialized in this information? And where did they get their information from? Did they cite their sources? Is this good for my purposes, for my school project? So I teach website evaluation, and then our course culminates with them actually curating resources for a topic of their choice, because I like to teach students that not only are these research skills good for school use, but also for personal pursuits. We also provide professional development to educators. We just had in the Walpole Public School District, we just had an Ed Camp Day, and I taught a workshop on accessibility for the digital resources that we have through the statewide databases. And also different activities that teachers can do to create different types of student choice using our digital resources. Librarians also, we do diversity audits on our collection quite frequently, so that we have a diverse collection of books, so that we can have windows and mirrors for students to find books that are with characters just like them, or they can learn about a different culture, picking up different books that they might not normally see. We do a lot of book displays. I curate resources on various different, like right now we have Martin Luther King Jr. display up. We'll be doing Black History Month display, and I curate resources for those as well. Each month I have a different monthly display, whether it's physical or it's online with resources. So that's another thing that librarians do, as well as we collaborate a lot with our teachers. When a teacher has social studies, ELA, sometimes foreign language teachers, when they're doing a research project in their class, sometimes we'll bump into the class and we'll help teach the research side of that. Other times it's just a matter of collaborating with the teacher, saying, hey, we have 2 days, we want to get some research done. We don't want the kids just to go out and Google information. So I'll create a Google site just for that teacher with curated resources, and that kind of cuts down a little bit on the research time. And I always include on that site how to cite your sources, which is great these days. With Chromebooks, everybody has the Google Docs. They can do the citation tools right through the Google Docs, so it makes it much easier for students to cite their sources. I do a ton of reading. I read basically what the kids are reading, all middle grade and YA books, so I can talk to the kids about the books. I talk to teachers if there's a particular unit and they're like, oh, I need a book in verse. I can give them a couple of different books in verse and give them suggestions based on what I've read. If we have a student who maybe doesn't speak the language very well, English is their second language, and we have another book, can we have the book in English as well as find a Portuguese version or a Spanish version of the book? And sometimes I can find that online, so that I can make it accessible. So if certain passages are too difficult to read in English, we have something that the student can use as well. So I do a lot of accessibility when it comes to things, finding different leveled websites, different leveled reading materials, articles that students can use as well.
The school library is more than a place for students to check out books. It provides them with equitable access to critical resources and a quiet space for both independent and collaborative learning.
It's so important for students because when they come in here to the library, sometimes they get overwhelmed by the books, and I perform reader advisory services, which is kind of like matchmaking with books. So I ask a few questions. Do you like graphic novels? Do you like fiction? Do you like nonfiction? So I'll ask the student a couple of questions, and then I'll just start pulling off like 5 different books, variety of books from the shelves, and like, oh, read this, read that. Just try to, so it's kind of like matchmaking with a book. So having a librarian is great because we provide reader advisory services. It's also, usually in a normal year when I'm not in 2 different buildings, I usually come in early. So if kids have like a hectic, trying to get out the door with a lot of people in the morning, they can come here early in the morning before school. It's just as a place to they could study for a test, or just as a reset before they start their day in the rest of the building. And normally I'm open for lunch as well. So kids who, again, either want to start some homework because they have a lot of after school activities, they can come up, they could study for a test, they could just sit and read or just chill out. So it's a nice environment just to have, just a calming environment for students to go to. The students will come in if they have a research project and if they're not really sure about the best website to go, because it's really hard to evaluate. Right now the students are still learning how to evaluate what websites are best for them for certain projects. They'll say, hey, is this a good source to use? Or they'll ask me, did I cite this information correctly? So they know they always have somebody that they can come to ask those questions. And one thing that I like, which is great, especially when it comes to technology and our databases that we have all this access to, is that there's so much accessibility for the different ranges of students, because students don't always learn at the same level. And with the databases, you can go down a level, you can go up a level, and you can have articles read to you. All the videos that come as part of our databases, they have the transcript written out so kids can watch it as well as read along with it. There's just so many things that students are able to do so they can better understand the research. I always teach that research isn't good if you don't understand what you're researching. So for me, it's really important that the students understand where can they go to find information that they truly understand. Because Googling it, they might not get the information that they understand. With these databases, you don't understand a word, you click on it, it pulls up with a dictionary entry. It's fantastic. They can take notes on it, and it's easy to cite.
The new combined middle school building gives O'Malley hope that Walpole's library program will continue to improve and positively affect students. She was even asked to provide input regarding the new library's ideal setup.
We are going to be moving into the new Walpole Middle School library. It started next school year, which is very exciting. And it's going to be a different space than this. We will still have, it's going to be very flexible, and it's going to lean more toward collaborative learning. So instead of having a classroom inside the library, there is actually a classroom attached to the library where classes can come and collaborate, as well as a learning and teaching area inside the library. And there'll just be different zones, even slightly outside the library, where kids can do different activities. I think it's going to be great. We're going to have brand new technology. We're going to have some flat screen panels, interactive panels. With me being at one building, we'll have more library programming, which will be fantastic as well. It's amazing. They wanted me to have input on circulation desks, book carts, what kind of tables and chairs, how I even was able to comment on how high the bookshelves should be, because when you're a middle schooler, you're kind of like my height, so you don't want to have any bookshelves that are too above your head, because no one's going to reach for a book above their head. It's 4 foot high shelves in the middle, so you can see over and you can see everybody. Plenty of supplies so that the students can do arts and crafts and stuff that they need to do for their other academic classes, and make sure we have enough colored markers and pencils and all the things, that the supplies that the students would need as well for their academic classes. But the inside of the library is going to be fantastic with plenty of book display area, which would be great, and shelves that are not too high, which would be fantastic. But just, it's going to be such a wonderful collaborative learning space. I've always been a big lover of books, and my first job in high school was a page in my local public library. So I would shelve books, and my favorite part of that job was I would have patrons who would just come and ask me, oh, what's the latest book? What's everybody checking out? And did you read this book? Did you like this book? Where can I find this book? And I love those interactions. So it was kind of interesting. So that was my first job, was my local public library. And then I was actually a business major. There's a career shift for me. But I was a marketing manager for a children's publishing company in New York for many years. Penguin Putnam Books for Young Readers. And so I love doing the marketing end to promote, again, a love of reading. And then I moved up here, got married, had kids. Once my kids were in school, I'm like, I need to get back in the workforce again. And I just, was thinking, well, what would I love to do? And I was like, I need to go back to books. So I thought being a librarian was my first job, and why not go back to it? And I was very fortunate. I started as a media aide over at Walpole High School for 2 years. And then the librarian who was at Bird Middle School was retiring. So I was like, let me give it a shot. So I got the job. I went back to school to get my master's degree in education and library studies. So I've been doing this ever since. It's so good. I love working with the kids, geeking out with them over books, fandoms with the Harry Potter and everything else. It's fantastic. And I had the unique opportunity, because not all librarians get to teach their own course. By teaching my own course, I was able to do information and digital literacy course basically for 7th graders, and it's just amazing to be able to give them a questionnaire saying, hey, how comfortable do you feel with research? You know, and a lot of them are deer in headlights as soon as they hear they have to have research. And then by the end of the semester, I'm like, how comfortable do you feel with this? They're like, nah, I feel pretty good about this. I feel pretty good about all the skills that you need to do a research project. So that is truly amazing to be able to do that and to see the confidence at the end of the semester with the students.
For Walpole Media, this is Jessica Kurgo.